Morning, everyone. Welcome to Planning, Zoning, and Agricultural Committee meeting for Tuesday, August 19th. Go get a roll call, please.
Mr. Featherling?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Present.
Mr. Long?
Present.
Ms. Weber? Mr. Dunnill? Mr. Smith? Ms. Foster? Ms. Andrade? Mr. Kirkstra?
Present.
Ms. Monday? Ms. Amber Turner? Mr. Lowy?
Present.
Ms. Denise Turner? Mr. Alexander Hildebrand?
Present.
We do have a quorum.
Okay. Okay, next up, we have approval of minutes. I gotta check for public comment. I didn't get any. Did anybody have any public comment from back there? Nobody? Okay. I don't have any slips up here, so. Okay, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. Probably got some from the month before. Not from July, would have been June. I think they're the last minutes we had. Anyone have anything they'd like to change and make a motion? Mr. Miller? Second, Ms. Turner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Okay, we got a couple of building reports to do today, Del.
All right, thank you. We have the building report for June 2025. We had one new house permit. Total permits was 116, and total revenue brought in was $39,132. That was a little higher than the previous year for June, which was at $37,000 in 2024. For July 2025, we had no new houses. We issued a total of 146 permits and brought in revenue of $67,084. That was substantially increased from 2024, where we brought in $42,000.
Okay.
Solar farm was $20,000 of that.
We get a motion to approve both of them at the same time? Okay, Miss Monday and Mr. Miller, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, stormwater, Del.
Just like we do every month, I asked the committee if there's any stormwater issues that they are aware of in their districts. I am still waiting on the annual report. I will present that once that comes in.
We finally got some rain, so.
Yeah.
Nobody had any problems with the rain the other day? No? Went away fast, okay. Thanks, Del. Okay, next up, we have ZBA case 2505 to consider a variance for an application at 6374 CN 4150 Road West in Bourbonnais, situated in section 33 of Rockville Township. Property index is 4133-400-004. To allow reduction in required lot width from 250 to 204 of the county code. Petition filed by Julia Martin, estate owner, and Rick Martin, applicant. Okay, Del.
Battery exploded in my clicker. Joanne, you'll have to. Yeah. Page down.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Okay.
Will I do it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
This is a request from the Julia J. Martin estate for a lot width variance on the parcel outlined in red up on the screen. This is in Rockville Township. It has, where's my list? 205 feet of frontage. At the time of its creation, it was required, 204.9 feet of frontage. It was required to have 250 feet of frontage. There's 3 lots along a driveway that has an easement, and this is the last one in line. The county board has already issued variances for the front 2, and this is the 3rd one in line. Miss Martin has passed away, and the family would like to sell the property, and this is the variance is needed for them to be able to move forward with that. Zoning Board of Appeals voted 4-0 to recommend approval.
Okay, Ms. Turner. Pardon?
I motion that we approve it.
Okay. And no questions? Miss Mundy? No? Okay, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Anybody opposed to it? None? Okay. Thank you. Easy. Okay, Del, got the next one set? Okay. ZBA case 2506 to consider rezoning application for at 4084 North 1000 West Road, Bourbonnais, Illinois, situated in section 12 of Bourbonnais Township. Property index is 170812400001 from R1 single family residential to C2 general commercial. Petition filed by Travis Mells and Alpha Elite Ventures LLC, owner and applicant. Okay, Mr. Skimmerhorn.
The applicant has purchased the former Bon Vivant clubhouse parking lots and a little bit of land around it, including the entrance driveway, with the intent to turn this into an event venue. In order to do that, they need C2 zoning. The property is currently zoned R1 single family residential. Event venues, restaurants, those type of things are a C2 commercial use. So zoning board had their hearing on it, and they recommend this one 4-0 as well for approval.
Ooh, nice one. Okay, anyone have any questions for that one? That case, it's gonna be nice. Okay, motion by Mr. Alexander, seconded by Mr. Long. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we're good. Okay, Dill. Get your papers out for the next one?
Yep.
Okay. ZBA case dash 2507 to consider a rezoning application for 5869 West 2000 North Road, Bonfield, Illinois, situated in section 20 of Limestone Township. Property index 070820-300-009 out of from agricultural to RE rural estate. Petition filed by Colin Ryan, owner and applicant.
Okay, ready?
Well, how does this go?
Yeah, Mr. Ryan purchased the 3 acres just south of that red polygon up there with the intention to build a home on it, and that is zoned rural estate. He also purchased an additional 10 feet at the north, which is outlined in the red, which is zoned A1 agriculture. Wants to merge the two together so that he can build his house. He needs the 10 feet for the setback on the house, but the 10 feet is not zoned rural estate, so he can't merge the two together. So he's asking for that 10 feet to also be zoned rural estate with the rest of his property. It's a technicality is what it is. Just because you purchase more land, the zoning does not change. Zoning only changes when the county board physically changes it. So we have to go through this process in order to accomplish that. Zoning board voted 5-0 to approve.
Okay, Mr. Alexander.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
You have a second? Mr. Long? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign? Okay. Jeez, that was easy. Okay, Del, this could be a wild one, huh? Zoning
Not
ordinance
really.
discussion.
Yeah, if you could join. In my spare time, I have been reviewing our zoning ordinance with the intent of making some changes to it, see what works and what doesn't work. Our original zoning ordinance was adopted in '67. The last time we had a major overhaul was 1996. Occasionally, we periodically update various sections of it. And I'm taking a really hard look at it because over the years we've been taking notes of what works, what doesn't work. And here's some things that I'm really looking before I get started in rewriting some of this stuff, which obviously will come before you for approval later on. But before I really spend the time to do that, I was hoping to get some of the county, and I don't necessarily need today, but some of the county board's thoughts on what direction you want to go with some of this stuff. Our ordinance doesn't really provide for short-term rentals, such as Airbnbs and Verbos. Is that something the county board would like to see in the county? If so, we can certainly write language for that. Right now, the closest thing we have that comes to that is bed and breakfast provisions, and those are only allowed in the R1 district. We get a lot of requests for them in the A1 district. It's not there, so they cannot do it there. So these are, you can get back to me later on if you'd like to. This is going to be a several month project as we go through this, and we'll probably pick it apart pieces at a time. Driveway regulations, I've actually already wrote something up on this. Our driveway regulations were established in 1996, and there are some serious issues with that, such as they did not allow for driveways in subdivisions. Our driveway rules are one driveway for every 330 feet of road frontage. Doesn't really work when you've got 100-foot wide lots and only one of them can get a driveway. That's a real problem. So there's some other issues as far as which direction you measure that 330 feet, because it's based on 330 5,280 feet is a length of a mile, which is the length, supposedly the length of a section. It never is, but 330 divides equally into that. But when you have a 5,100 foot section, depending on which you measure from the east to west or west to east, you get a different location for the driveway. So we're going to clarify some of those kind of things. Getting a lot of requests for gates on driveways these days, and we have no regulations whatsoever for gates. So we'd like to address that. We'd like to take some clarification on livestock and farm animals. There's some parts of our ordinance that it's just not clear whether you can have them or not have them, and that type of stuff.
Chickens?
Well, that's going to be the next one. Backyard chickens and poultry. How does the board feel about that? We currently do not allow them. Would you like to allow them? We can.
Sure,
Yes.
Miss Monday. Go ahead.
Chickens in the backyard, in the county is not allowed?
That is
Right
correct.
now, yeah.
Okay,
In the residential district anyway, it's not allowed.
In the
Okay.
residential zone.
You're in the
area.
A1
Not
district
allowed.
and you're not in a subdivision, you can have them.
so if someone,
If you're in the A1 district, agricultural district, and not in a subdivision, because we do have some subdivisions like Ileana Heights that
Is it a
is
subdivision?
zoned A1 for some reason,
okay,
you cannot have, or
Okay.
you can have them. In the
Okay.
R1 district, farm animals, any type, unless you've got 20 acres or more, are not allowed.
Yeah.
okay,
So that's some of
So
that
that's-
livestock clarity, because if you got 5 acres zoned R1, we're getting a lot of requests, especially in Pembroke Township for this. There's a lot of 5-acre lots out there. They'd like to have some goats and chickens, and the answer is no currently.
Mhm.
So,
all right, thank you.
but like I said, this is really up to
Times
the
are
board,
changing.
so I'd like some feedback on how the board would like to proceed.
$8 dozen eggs makes it worthwhile to have chickens. Yeah, but now that they're
Accessory dwelling
quite so
units, we probably get a call a month about somebody wanting to move grandma back with them, but they don't want her to live with them. They want her to live in a house out back. Current-
Understandable.
Currently, our ordinance does not allow that. So
yeah,
if that's something you'd like us to add or look into. There's also Elder Cottage Housing Opportunities, ECHO, that's what Will County calls their program. So that might be a good one to model it after, if you want me to go that direction. Tiny homes in general, not just accessory dwelling units, but tiny homes in general. We only allow them sort of. It depends on how they're classified. If it's a mobile home, they're only allowed where mobile homes are. If it's a stick-built one, then it's allowed where a stick-built house could be built. And if it's an RV style, you can't have it except in a RV park. We can change any parts of that if anybody wanted to. Battery storage facilities are becoming a pretty big thing. We need to look into that. I'd like to talk to some of the fire chiefs about some of that too. Those are your basically cargo containers filled with batteries for storing electricity. I'd like to take a look at the way we do variances, because there are maybe have possibly 3 different levels of variances. An administrative variance that my staff could issue. It's kind of like that 10-foot today that nobody's going to argue against. Minor variances where they go to the zoning board and stop there, and then the actual full variance that would go all the way to the county board. A few years back, we did have minor variances that stopped at zoning board, but that was changed for reasons I won't get into here. And data centers, and there could be others. I mean, so think about our zoning ordinance and uses. We definitely need to modernize it. A lot of these things, when our ordinance was written in 1996, were not a thing.
Right.
Airbnbs were not a thing. Tiny homes were not a thing.
Doesn't-
ADUs were around, but they're becoming very popular.
96
So-
doesn't sound like that long ago, but it really was.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Alexander?
My hair wasn't gray in '96.
Yeah.
Will you send this out to everyone on the board?
I certainly can. I can put it into a memo form, and this is just some thoughts.
Right.
If there's new ideas, new concepts out there that you'd like to see change,
Just to get the thoughts.
we can
brewing.
certainly do this. I don't know that if I'm going to do it in a full update, or if I'm just going to pick sections out and run them through the zoning board.
Okay.
A few
One at a
sections
time
at
or something,
as
yeah.
we do it.
Because it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot
Yeah.
of pages.
There's a different process. If we do a full update, then there's a whole different process for.
Dell and the planning
approvals.
department could make 20 pages out of that right there.
Well, probably it's not. That's never short. No,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
try to contemplate all of
Maybe
closing all
more.
the loopholes you possibly can, and you find
Oh,
out 2
good.
months
Get
later
interested
you
in that.
missed one because somebody will come up with something to try to get around.
Maybe
it.
someday we could lean this into a comprehensive plan direction.
Well, normally you do your comprehensive plan, and then which is your policy guidelines, which is where we would write about. Yes, the county board would love to have tiny homes, and then we update the ordinances and stuff to make that happen. That's the normal flow of that.
Oh, at least we got zoning ideas.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think my mic is still on.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I was being careful with my thoughts there.
Yeah, I was talking to him before I got it turned off.
Right, thank you. So I would encourage you, when redoing some ordinances, to obviously make some decisions regarding chickens. If someone has 5 acres and they want chickens, that's one thing. And I think it's a great idea for people to grow their own eggs and whatever. However, can the ordinance be also looked at for people who do live in a subdivision? And why in the world are people allowed to have a bunch of chickens and poultry in a subdivision where you've got a neighbor right next door to you within feet that have to deal with horrible smell and cock-a-doodle-doo all day long? The chickens are confused. They're still cock-a-doodle-dooing like at 8 o'clock at night. And it's like, okay, really? We've heard this enough. So can you look at it from that direction as well, and maybe not allow it so much in subdivisions unless there's a certain number of acreage there, or feet, or something?
We
We can limit
currently
it
do
that
not
way.
allow them in
Yeah.
subdivisions anywhere.
No.
Okay, well,
So if they are in, and
Yes.
believe me, it's pretty taxing on my code enforcement guy
Mhm.
to be the chicken police. We get a lot of them, especially in the spring. They all go to Tractor Supply or Farm and Fleet and buy their little chickens, bring them home, and they're all cute and everything. And then they grow up, and then they start bothering the neighbors. Then we get the phone calls.
Yeah.
And
The
that's
chicken
when we
police.
get the phone calls is when we take action, because we have no other way of knowing that there's chickens there until that happens.
Is that
As far as the ordinance goes, it is the county board's ordinance. The county board can decide where they would like to have chickens or not have chickens within the guidelines of the state statute that enables zoning.
Mhm.
So there are some things you can't do, such as chickens on a farm, you cannot touch. Okay, farming is protected by state statute, but chickens in a subdivision, yes, you can. We currently don't allow them. You could if you wanted to. A lot of the municipalities do. You can have chickens in the city of Kankakee. You can have chickens in the village of Bradley. I think Moments. There's a couple others. It's a growing movement. In fact, I get that call them. They can have them in Kankakee, but I can't have them out in the country in Kankakee County. Yeah, that's the way our ordinance says. So it's really up to you as to what you want. But keep in mind that we do have to apply the rules county-wide. So what might work in Engineer Township won't necessarily work in Bourbonnais Township or Kankakee Township. So we have to craft the ordinance so it works everywhere. Okay.
Other animals as well, then this would be the same situation. I mean, this
Oh,
particular.
it could be. I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Like I said, the municipalities have allowed chickens in a lot of instances. In fact, that's actually a nationwide movement. You can have chickens in the city of Chicago.
Sure.
Okay. But that
They
doesn't.
fight 'em there.
But then they don't stop with chickens. Then they want geese and
Yes.
ducks and
Yes.
all of that. And I'm not aware of a municipality that allows all of that
Okay.
and turkeys. It's
I think-
just simply chickens.
Right. I think my daughter's been in touch with your department multiple times regarding this. So thank you
Yeah,
for
so
taking her phone calls and for continuing to rectify the situation. But yeah, I think just because it's a subdivision, I think that needs to be reexamined as to
Yeah.
what is allowed and how it's enforced.
well, we have to take into consideration too. There's different size lots in subdivisions. We have subdivisions that have 2 and 3 acre lots.
Right. That's a different story. Correct.
Right, but
So maybe it needs to go by the size of the lot.
it could.
Versus-
Zoning district, size of lots. There are ways to craft rules. But I get a lot of questions about goats too.
Yeah.
A lot of people want goats.
I like your cheese.
I'd rather have a sheep. I could make sweaters out of it.
But where do you start? Where do you stop?
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
allowable? What's not? It's up to the county board
Yeah.
to decide.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Thank
I'm doing this in my spare time
Yeah.
because to hire a consultant to do this would be very costly.
Yeah.
But it's time there are some things like the driveway part I've got to do.
Saving us money there, Dell.
All
Thank
right?
you.
So if you got any feedback, send me an email.
Yeah.
Talk to me. I will send out a memo, man.
Good. Anything else, Dell, on that one?
No, that's it. Unless
Okay.
the board has anything.
Okay, Mr. Wilson, you here to do a transportation thing? You want to hang out back there, or you want to come up here? Okay. Good morning, sir.
Joanne will have to flip slides.
Jewel Osco has eggs, 250 a dozen right now, maximum 4.
They
So just, it's always something to consider. So we have more acronyms, and John always asks that I bombard you with as many acronyms as possible. So we're on to a new topic. This is pretty nice for the staff here. There's something called Safe Streets for All, and that this is the SS4A program rolled out by Federal Highway Administration. And part of that is, in order to ask for funds within this program, you have to have a comprehensive safety action plan. So we're running on CSAPs now for the SS4A program. And we, very graciously, DOT agreed to hire a consultant to do statewide action plans, a statewide effort to do countywide action plans. And we're up. So currently, Orrin Associates are working with Kankakee County and Sangamon County to complete a safety action plan. And yeah, I'm not going to read the slides to you, and they're in your packet, but essentially what we're talking about is a $3 billion pool from SS4A. And the only way to access it is to have a plan that meets certain metrics and makes certain statements as an organization. I'm not certain if the MPO, which is our organization for transportation, or we'll have the county board do it at this point, but we essentially have to adopt Illinois' Goal Zero program. And so this entire effort is about acknowledging that we're going to have roadway incidents, acknowledging that there are people involved and people make mistakes, but trying to take on initiatives, plan for, build programming, enforcement, things along those lines that allow us to reduce fatalities on the road. This covers all road users through vulnerable road users. But yeah, so target one, our goal is to reduce and eliminate serious injuries and fatal crashes. In our world, we work off of K-type accidents, which are fatalities, and A-types are serious injury accidents. There are B accidents and C accidents and in the reports, but as far as our crashes are concerned, Ks and As are where we look. I know all of you are very interested in what's happening at the North County line right now. And I would say that what was nice in the rollout of this is the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO, we have a geography. Our geography goes to 11,000 north. So we don't plan for 12,000 north. We do not want to plan for 12,000 north because there's some rules within the federal regulation that if any MPOs touch, they become a single MPO. And so if we hit the county line, we become part of the CMAP MPO and we no longer exist. Our money would get rolled into their pool and they would maybe, possibly, occasionally funnel some funds down to us. So we want to stay our own entity. We want to take our $1.3 million in surface transportation dollars and do work in our county. But when we put this together with DOT, they said, hey, we're going to initiate a county-wide exercise, allow the MPO staff to do a planning exercise for the entire county, because obviously, even if you're not within our MPO, you're feeding into the traffic within our MPO. East-west truck traffic goes through our MPO. We do a truck study for everything from 12,000 to 3,000 every year because that affects our MPO. It's not necessarily our specific geography, but it does allow us to look at that. And they said, why don't you do the entire county, look at all of the safety needs. So we're looking at everything through, for this. This introduction right now is more about the survey, which you'll see in a future slide. We are using, and actually we advanced for me, I think there's one that kind of covers. Okay, so safe system approach, again, is recognizing that humans make mistakes and that we just really want the result to not be death and serious injury. So we understand they're going to happen, but we want to try and work on behavioral changes. So the CSAP leads are our staff and our consultant and some of the DOT staff. Through the MPO, we have a safety committee. That safety committee is kind of the next waterfall of that, and then subsequently we have stakeholder input. So it's an additional group outside of that. So we're talking about first responders, planners, engineering, ensuring that education's involved, and so we were using our MPO safety committee as the lead committee, but we've rolled our RPC into this, so we've got an opportunity to receive more public input from people within our community. Our RPC is a really good tool for getting public input, even sometimes when the public doesn't want to attend the meetings, because we'll have 8 or 10 members of the public that sit on the RPC that give us a lot of great feedback. Chad chairs that committee. They do a really good job with us. And just really exercising this and making sure that that info gets out. And so we're trying to meet with everybody we can right now. And so I'm probably going to present this to several committees. Maybe we'll just do it to the full board so we can do it once. But throughout the process, I'm going to try and keep you updated on what we're working on with the plan. We can advance to the next one. Next scheduled meeting. So this was from our initial kickoff meeting. We did not have a date at that time, but September 3rd at 1:00 at Village of Bourbonnais, we're going to be hosting our initial kickoff. We've rescheduled our Regional Planning Commission meeting from this month to that date. That works for our consultants and DOT and allows us to do a 2.5-hour kind of tabletop breakout, full run about policy review and data analysis within the program. Oh, I think, yeah, okay. So this is the survey. I think the biggest part of this exercise is to know that it's not just car drivers. A lot of us are car drivers, and that's fine. But it's about ensuring that pedestrians, vulnerable road users, I cross between here and the library building quite a bit, and sometimes it's a little dicey when you're on 17, when people are jaywalking and things like that. And that's a type of behavioral change. Then there's impairment and distracted driving that we're focusing on. We're initiating some efforts in targeted areas. Stephen in the back of the room has been helping Delbert and analyzing 12,000 north at 50 right now and looking at the crash data from the last 5 years. We're pulling the police reports and putting together kind of a visual representation of what that looks like, just so we can get a handle on what that effort is. DOT is very focused on this. We have a note from Mr. Allen from, I don't know, maybe Monday or last week. The chief in Manteno sent out information to our elected officials to make sure that we understand this is a safety concern. IDOT District 1 is leading the charge out there. I think the current initiative is focused on speed in that area, but through Stephen's work and Dell's work, I can tell you there are people just stopping at the stop signs and proceeding into traffic on that particular instance, where they're fully stopping, they're looking both ways or not, and they're proceeding into traffic. I might punt to Dell a little bit on this one. Dell went up there to do a review. Will you share a little bit about your experience and what you saw as far as the...
Yeah, I wish I'd actually brought the photographs. That would have been helpful. But IDOT, probably last year, they put stop lines down on the pavement at the stop sign where you're supposed to stop. So I did that, and I looked to the left, and westbound, by the way, and you can't see. There's a church sign in your way. There's some utility poles. At that line, you cannot see any part of really of Route 50. So I moved out about halfway between the stop line and the start of the north-south lane. You could see a little bit, but not all that far down. I brought my car all the way to the, I had to go all the way to the edge of the lane before I could look and actually see what was coming northbound on Route 50. Problem with that, I was way past the stop line. So I have another photo because I had gone north to take photos, came back. I'm on the outside lane, southbound Route 50. There is a semi truck waiting to turn left onto eastbound 12,000 road. And he can't go because the car that's on 12,000 westbound has pulled up beyond the stop sign or stop line, and he can't make that turn. Now, whether he was waving that guy out or not, I can't say. And I was only doing about 30 miles an hour because I was going to turn right anyway. And I seen him over there. That car pulled out in front of the lane with the truck and headed south. Had I been doing the speed limit, not seen him there, and had that car either been turning into my lane or crossing Route 50, we'd likely have had an accident. And I think that type of thing is happening there more often than not. It's a visibility issue there. And it would help if we can clean up that intersection so you can see farther south, a little farther back. The sign that is there, we are going to be contacting the owner of that sign because it's not supposed to be there anyway.
No variance for that. No.
So that's my story.
Yeah,
that
and
was from last
that
Thursday.
sign has been there for quite a while.
It's been there for 20 years.
And we understand that, but with the looming number of incidences there, again, there's things within our ordinance about off-site signage, but more about making sure it's safe up there. And I think that this is where we're trying to get our heads around what a visual representation is. This something we can share with this committee to say, hey, these are the types of things we're seeing, share with the maybe buildings and highway. But I guess if you get an opportunity, please take the survey. The second takeaway I want today is to just, I hope people watch the meetings. Other motorists are not traffic control devices. That truck driver waving you through, according to the manual for uniform traffic control devices, does not count. If you proceed into the intersection and cause a crash because somebody told you it was okay, it's still your fault. At that instance, when you're past the stop line, we would say probably the rational thing is to back up, right, and allow the semi to make the turn.
If you can.
Well, and if there's a stack of cars behind, and it becomes difficult, and I think there's just some pinch points up there, and DOT is working, and I don't know how many of you have a relationship with Mr. Scott O'Brien, retired chief now, still very involved in this. Chief Peterson's very involved in this. This is the boundary line between districts 3 and 1 for IDOT. It's an ISP boundary line. Obviously, it's a county boundary line, which means it's a township boundary line. It's a fire district boundary line. We've all got a piece of it. Greg's got one side of it, and the township's got the other side of it, but it's all DOT's fault. And trying to figure out who's on first. The D1 team is doing a very good job in approaching this. It's just typically for an intersection, and you're experiencing it with Route 1 and 12,000 as well. This is a 5-year running project. It's just very unfortunate for us. We've had 3 fatalities since the start of the year. Well, 3 incidents causing fatalities, actually 4 fatalities. And so it's really it's more fever pitch, I think, than it typically would be. Having crashes is one thing. When you start to get fatalities, obviously we really need to ramp it up. And I think that DOT is going to come out with a little more truncated timeline that might involve some speed reduction at this point while we work on the perfect fix. Stepping back from it, I think the fix is going to look a lot like 6,000. With the rail line there, you can't stop at a stoplight with the railroad so close. That's a $50 or $60 million fix. That's not within the MYP in any of the years we're working through. I mean, our multi-year program goes out through 2029 now. It's not in there. And so we'll have to work on finding the funds. And that's one instance of safety within our community. And so this is really about stepping back and doing that holistic. I would say that it's somewhat convenient in that we have a nice rallying cry for safety right now in this intersection that's causing a bunch of fatals, but we really need to roll that into the remainder of the system. And so Aura is asking everyone, please give us your feedback in the survey. We're going to run some newspaper stuff on the survey. Eric sent it out via our social media. We're asking our partners to do that. But this will be probably 12 more months of exercise for the final plan. I think they're trying to deliver it in the summer, maybe of next year, early summer. But this is a new thing. It's great for us in that I've talked with Matt initially. Said, hey, do you want some free work for on IDOT's back? And it was like, yeah, this is the type of thing that we're really excited about. It doesn't have a cost to us except for a little bit of staff time, and we'll get a program that'll make the road safer for everybody who's traveling through.
Ms. Foster, go ahead.
Another spot that is waiting to have an accident is 17 coming north and X-Line Road, because there's a turn there and it just blocks up traffic when it needs a dedicated turn lane for X-Line Road.
And they'll be looking at, so what we're doing is looking at our emphasis areas crashes, kind of a heat map of crashes within the corridor. I implore you to attend these meetings because we're sharing that type of information off of the dashboard. They came to us and said, hey, this is our heat map. What other areas do you want to see? Mm-hmm. When we had our safety meeting, emergency responders and PD are involved. I always say that my number one fear on the road is distracted driving. What we find out from talking to enforcement is if there's not a fatality, typically we're not going to get a judge to issue a subpoena for records. So as a motorist, all you have to say is, no, I didn't have my phone in my hand. And then that's not part of the cause. You all see it every time you sit at a stoplight where they just, you got to honk at them to get them to move on. You watch people, eyes up, eyes down the entire way when you're driving in. I know that it exists. And so that's a education and behavior adjustment that we can make. And that's why we're working with the driver's ed and the high schools as part of this effort. And so items like that, but because again, if you don't have a dedicated turn lane and somebody's looking down at their phone, mm-hmm. and they're going, quite a bit of speed on 17, which happens. Yeah. It's hard to stop in those shorter distances, and so if there's areas of target, and we'll make that comment,
especially when that fall comes in the fall.
And I mean, right now, corn looks great out there. It creates sightline issues, things like that. Yeah. And so there's issues maybe in August that we won't have in October, where the corn's been cut down or something like that. So just keep those in mind as you go through. Yeah. But anything you can give us for feedback, we do what we can to make it user friendly on the feedback side, but ultimately we always kind of push you because we have access to you as board members who talk to your constituents to tell us, what are you hearing out there? What safety issues do you know about? I feel like we do this with MS4 and stormwater, where we just ask you because sometimes the public maybe doesn't want to respond, or I don't have quite as good access to them. So if you've got something, certainly let us know.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Monday.
Thank you. I received a call about a month ago, and I have forwarded it on to appropriate people, I think. But something your committee might want to think about is County Road 28 and 115. And I believe there have been fatalities there.
Yeah.
And that is one where the people that are going to kind of spearhead this and try to make something happen are looking for a four-way stop, a red flashing light, something like you have on 113 at Warner Bridge, you know, something like that. Because apparently the stop sign is, people are blowing through that county road stop sign. And people are traveling down 115 at high rates of speed, and people are blowing that stop sign completely on purpose. And I understand quite often it is semi-trucks that are traveling through to get over to Wilmington to jump on 55. And so it's caused fatalities in the past, and I'm wondering if that is another area of interest that you might want to look at.
We will certainly add it to our list.
And one other
Thank you.
problem. Sorry about that. But another problem is coming on Route 2 into Pembroke. We have a lot of semis, and I guess they're doing the same thing. They're cutting through Pembroke to go through East so they can jump on 65, and that has been an issue.
So,
And also the other thing is we have a lot of new people who have moved into the community, and they don't know how to drive in a rural area. They're just driving too fast. I see that all the time, especially in Pembroke. We have a lot of new people who have come from the city, and they just don't understand what rural drive. You have to drive slow. You never know if an animal is going to jump out. It's foggy in the morning. You know, it just depends on the season, and we've had a fatality in one of the curves there, and but I am more concerned with those semis that's coming through Pembroke.
yeah, tractor trailers are a tough conversation, heavy vehicles, in that Illinois passed something called universal access. And that essentially states if it's a road that people can use, anyone can use it. And so as long as it's not weight restricted, and our weight restrictions typically are limited to 90 days for, and really it's like 3 days of the frost coming out of the ground, but we can post them for 90. That trucks are entitled to make that drive, you know. And so for us though, it's about stepping back from all of that, right? I mean, there's going to be individual instances like that, but you know, is Google our friend or our foe as it relates to this? You know, is there a greater conversation that we need to reinitiate, like kind of an Ileana light conversation? Mm-hmm. As far as getting trucks out of the intermodal and getting them across the two counties where maybe improvements to County Line Road could be made. You know, as a partnership with Will and Kankakee counties and DOT and a few others. You know, again, so kind of like really stepping back from that and doing a high level planning exercise. And what's really nice is by DOT bringing these funds to us and allowing us to use this consultant, they can do a lot of the heavy lifting that, I mean, Dell alluded to it with the changes to our zoning ordinance. We're trying to fit these in around the other things we're doing. In this instance, they're allowed to put all the time they need to in this with some minor feedback from us, and that allows us to get more done in this time frame than we would be allowed to do it with staff alone.
Okay. No. I'd have to say that the intermodal stuff and all those trucking transfer places and everything, I think it's a lot of poor planning going on when they let those things happen. There was no consideration given that the people are going to want to go to Indiana from over there, and we have to pay for it and we have to suffer with it. Our residents in Manteno, you know, we got trucks driving through town. They got to go through stop signs and stop light and everything else to continue on down the road right through town. And Moments has the same thing right there where there's a mess right now where the construction's going on. So, you know, it seems like it's not our problem. We should be going after them. It's their problem. You know, they're causing it. So.
Yeah, it's something. It's a
they
topic
get all the tax money.
It's a topic we all need to address. Yeah. I would say that a lot of Kankakee County residents are clicking for next day delivery. Yeah, we're all guilty of that, yeah. and that's why sea containers are here. Yeah, and so you know, it's trying to. We really like that benefit, but we don't necessarily like the trucks. But again, it's how do we put together a plan that makes sense for the county, allow our residents to give feedback, and then once we have that plan, we have actionable items where we look for demonstration funds through SS4A. We talk about topics at safety that we could do some sort of piloted projects where maybe there is some funds for more enforcement if that's the issue. Maybe there's some funds for technology if lacking technology is the issue. To get congestion reduced and safety up. Those are always our targets. We want the roadways to be less congested and more safe. And so this is part of that overall picture.
Yeah, east-west, good in east-west expressway would handle all the problems and eliminate most of them.
But it's all road in.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody think about that kind of stuff, especially for Dell. If you come up with things you want him to, because if he works on this, he comes back in, we'd make a bunch of changes, and he's got to rewrite it again. So if everybody keeps in contact, and if something's going on in your area or near something, we should get a hold of Ben or Dell. Can usually take care of whatever I ever have a problem with. So I'm sure he can take care of whatever you have one with. So okay, thank you, sir. Okay, we have anything under old business? You got anything, Dell?
I do
business. Well, we kind of talked about old business with the zoning. Anybody have anything for new business? No? Mr. Kirkster, you got anything back there? Yes. What do you have? Motion to adjourn. We get a second? Okay, Miss Monday, all in favor say aye. Aye.